I spent years raising my stepdaughter as my own. But when she said, "Only my real dad deserves credit," I realized I was just a placeholder. Hello Reddit I plus here. My name's Michael and I'm 41 years old. I've never considered myself a stepfather. To me, I was just a dad. No prefix, no asterisk, no asterisked footnote attached to my love. But life has a funny way of handing you reality like a sucker punch to the gut. Hard, fast, and without apology. I met Sarah when I was 26. She was 24 and a single mom to a sweet little 3-year-old girl named Lila. Lila's biological father, Ben, dipped the moment Sarah told him she was pregnant. I remember the first time I met her. Those wide hazel eyes, bouncing pigtails, and the cautious way she clutched her mom's leg. I knelt down, handed her a stuffed fox, and said, "Hi, I'm Michael. Can I be your friend?" She took it, gave a small nod, and that was that. I was hooked on both of them. Sarah and I married 2 years later. By then, I'd already been reading Lila bedtime stories, packing her school lunches, sitting front row at her ballet recitals. I was the one who stayed up with her when she had nightmares, who taught her to ride a bike, who wiped her tears when kids were mean at school. I was her dad. Everyone knew it. We couldn't have kids of our own. 2 miscarriages and a specialist's gentle explanation later, Sarah and I grieved the loss of a future we had imagined. But I always said, "We already have Lila. She's more than enough." And I meant it. Years passed. Lila grew up to be smart, headstrong, and kind. We had our moments. What father-daughter duo doesn't? But she always came to me when it really mattered. Then she turned 17. That was the beginning of the unraveling. At first, it was small things. She became distant, more secretive. She talked a lot about finding herself, which I chalked up to teenage angst. But then came the questions about her real dad. Do you think Ben ever thinks about me? Do I look like him? Would he have come to my school play if he knew about it? Sarah seemed uneasy every time the topic came up. I figured it was guilt. Maybe she didn't know how to handle Lila's questions. But I always encouraged the conversation. "You have the right to know him," I told Lila. "But just remember, knowing where you come from doesn't change who's been there for you." But apparently it did. Lila started seeing Ben. I didn't even know he was back in town until Sarah casually mentioned that he'd reached out through Facebook. At first I felt okay about it. I mean, every kid deserves answers, right? And maybe Ben had changed. Maybe he was ready to make up for lost time. But what I wasn't ready for was being slowly erased. Suddenly, it was Ben who understood her better. Ben who never pressured her to be perfect. Ben who got her music. She'd come home glowing after lunches with him, and whenever I asked how it went, she gave me a polite smile and a vague, "It was good." I tried to tell myself not to be jealous. I reminded myself that I had 14 years of memories with this girl. One deadbeat dad with a shiny apology couldn't rewrite history. Until it did. Senior year, Lila got accepted into 3 colleges. She picked the one furthest away, ironically the one closest to where Ben lived now. Sarah and I planned a party for her. I spent a week building a display board full of her childhood pictures, her first ballet shoes, a photo of me holding her after a flu shot when she was 6, her messy science fair volcano project, the camping trip where she caught her first fish. The night before the party, she walked into the garage while I was putting the final touches on the display. She looked at it, her eyes scanning the pictures. Then she said, "Can you not put this one up?" She pointed to a photo of me and her at a daddy-daughter dance when she was 11. "I don't think it fits the vibe." My heart sank. "It's your party," I said. "Whatever you want." The next day, during her speech, yes, she gave a speech. She stood in front of everyone, holding the mic like a pro. She thanked her friends, her teachers, her mom. Then she said, "And I want to thank someone really important, my real dad, Ben. Even though we haven't had much time, he's been such a huge support during this year. He gets me. He believes in me. He's the reason I'm pursuing music instead of something safe and boring like accounting." She laughed. Everyone clapped. And then she added, "I know some people stepped in when he couldn't, but it takes a real dad to show up now, when it actually counts." I felt like someone had poured gasoline over my memories and set them on fire right there in front of me. After the party, I went to my room and shut the door. I didn't come out for hours. Sarah tried to talk to me, but I couldn't find the words. Weeks passed. I drove Lila to the airport when it was time to leave for college. It was a quiet drive. She didn't notice the CD mix I made of songs we used to sing in the car. Didn't look up when I handed her the handwritten letter I'd stayed up all night writing. She barely hugged me at the gate. A year went by. Sparse texts, polite updates. She posted photos with Ben, father-daughter hikes, matching flannels, even a "Happy Father's Day to the best dad in the world" caption that twisted the knife even deeper. I didn't confront her. What would I say? Remember all the times I was there for you, even when no one else was? That's not love. That's begging. Then came the twist. 3 weeks ago, Sarah and I were cleaning out the attic when I found an old storage box with a name I didn't recognize. Angela Winters. I opened it. Inside were letters, emails, and printouts from forums. Turns out Ben had reached out when Lila was 10. He wrote emails begging to meet her. He sent gifts. He even offered to move closer. Sarah never told me. She blocked him on everything, deleted emails, and returned packages. She didn't want him back in Lila's life because she was afraid of losing her daughter to him, or worse, of her realizing that I wasn't her real dad. Lila hadn't been reaching out to Ben on her own. Sarah reconnected them after a therapy session, where Lila confessed she felt incomplete, not knowing her father. Sarah, panicked, gave in, and then told Lila the lie, that Ben had never tried, that he disappeared completely, that he was just now coming around for the first time. She fed her that lie, and she let me take the hit for it. When I confronted her, Sarah broke down crying. I didn't want her to think he cared. I wanted her to think you were the one who showed up, but you didn't trust her to see that for herself, I asked. She was 10, she sobbed. And you were doing such a good job. I was scared, okay? Scared that she'd leave you behind. In trying to protect me, Sarah set me up to be the villain in my own story. Lila thinks I was just some guy who filled in the gap until the real man showed up. She'll never know the truth unless I tell her. I still don't know if I will. I wrote her a letter. A real one. It's sitting in my drawer. I don't want her to think I'm trying to rewrite her version of things. I just want her to know I never saw her as just my stepdaughter. She was, and still is, my kid, even if I was just a placeholder in her eyes. The letter sat in my drawer for weeks, folded neatly inside a plain white envelope with her name written in the corner like it was something sacred. I kept second-guessing myself. Would sending it make me seem bitter? Desperate? Would it ruin whatever peace she's built with Ben? I told myself I didn't need closure. But the truth? I did. I needed her to know that I wasn't just some guy in the background who played dad until the real one got his act together. It was mid-December when I finally mailed it. No return address. Just a simple letter. Honest and raw. Dear Lila, I won't ask you to remember the times I held your hand or bandaged your knee or sang you to sleep. I won't ask you to look at me the way you used to when you thought I could fix anything. But I do want you to know this. I didn't show up because your mom needed me. I didn't stay because it was convenient. I was there because I loved you. Because I still do. Even if now you only see a shadow where a father used to be. You were never a backup plan. And I was never pretending. Love always, Michael. I sent it on a Thursday. By Monday, I got a message. Just one. No, hey, no explanation. Just, can we talk? We met at a little cafe halfway between her campus and my town. She looked nervous. Older somehow, like the last year had aged her. She held her drink with both hands, eyes red like she'd been crying. I didn't know, she said. I didn't know he reached out before. Mom told me he never tried. She said you were all I had. I nodded. I know. She looked at me. Why didn't you tell me? Because it wasn't about me. You deserved the chance to know him. I didn't want to stand in the way of that, but I didn't expect to disappear in the process. She blinked, and the tears spilled over. I was so angry. I felt like he was this missing piece, and when he showed up and said all the right things, I wanted it to mean something. I just let her talk. And then I read your letter, she said, voice trembling. I remembered the time I threw up at that theme park, and you carried me 4 blocks to the car. I remembered the science fair, the dance. You taught me how to parallel park, for God's sake. I laughed softly. That was a war. She smiled, really smiled, for the first time in what felt like forever. Mom lied to both of us, she said finally. And I made it worse. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to erase you. I just didn't know who I was. And I think I thought, if I found him, I'd find me. And did you? She looked down. I don't know. Maybe. But I also found out who you were. And who you still are. We talked for hours that day about everything. About the lies, the lost time. About Ben, and how he's trying, but how awkward it still feels. And how she's learning that real doesn't always mean better. Before she left, she hugged me. Not a polite hug. A tight, shaking, full-body kind of hug. The kind that says, I remember. I see you. I don't know what happens from here. Maybe we rebuild. Maybe not to what it was, but maybe to something real, something honest. But I know this. I wasn't a placeholder. I was her dad. And no speech, no picture board, no Facebook caption can take that away.